Hummingbird has presented its case to be one of this year's stellar communities. More on how the presentation went, plus the Southeast Dubois School Board is looking further at its Title I budget for the upcoming school year, and Actors Community Theater are tonight's guests on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin with Hummingbirds' presentation to the Stellar Communities Selection Committee. Yesterday afternoon, Hummingbird Mayor Denny Spinner led a 3-hour presentation to make the city's case. That presentation got underway at 1 o'clock at the Hummingbird Event Center with a formal presentation that the city prepared. The formal presentation was then followed by a tour of areas that are marked for future projects that could be done with the Stellar Communities funding. Spinner says he remains confident in the city's chances.
I think that Hummingbird put its best foot forward yesterday. We feel we have a very, very strong plan. We feel like we answered all the questions that the state asked us to present to them as part of our proposal, and I think we did the best we could do. We feel confident that we have an excellent chance to be selected.
Several other local, regional, and business leaders also contributed to the city's presentation yesterday. These included Dubois County Community Foundation's CEO Brad Ward, Radius Indiana's CEO Becky Skillman, Doug Bobble with Jasper Engines and Transmissions, and Corey Menke with OFS Brands, among others. Spinner says in addition to those leaders, citizens of Hummingbird also played a big role.
There was not anyone who said no. When we needed something across the board, our citizens responded, they helped, they participated, and it really is, I could not have been more proud to be the person up front representing the city of Hummingbird, knowing how much support I had from every single person in this community.
A final decision on the 2 winners is expected sometime next month. Other finalist communities are Decatur, Marion, Mount Vernon, Nashville, and Wabash. Now, the Dubois County Community Foundation is continuing fundraising efforts ahead of the announcement of this year's winners. The foundation is trying to raise $1.8 million towards an endowment backing the city's candidacy. Ward says this marks the first endowment campaign of its kind for the Stellar program. Gifts of any denomination are being encouraged. They can be made directly at the foundation's Jasper office, online at dccommunityfoundation.org, or by mail. Area leaders pushing for construction of a new corridor to connect Dubois County with I-69 got some good news yesterday. The State Blue Ribbon Panel on Transportation rated the MidState Corridor as a Tier 2 project, making it a priority project that could be built within the next 5 to 10 years. The proposed corridor would upgrade a stretch of US 231 to interstate grade. It would also see a 38-mile stretch of new road built from the current highway up to Interstate 69 at Washington. The road would also go south to Owensboro and continue southward to connect with Interstate 65 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Local businessman Hank Menke has led the way with the corridor initiative. He says he's excited to have the road rated as a priority. The new road would be funded through government and private sector companies. It is not clear at this point how much the project would cost. The commission prioritized state projects into 3 tiers across 4 different modes of transportation. Those were water, air, road, and rail. Tier 1 projects are recommended to be done within 5 years, Tier 2, 5 to 10 years, and Tier 3 projects are on a 15 to 20-year completion timeframe. The Southeast Dubois School Board faces a funding shortage in its Title I budget for the upcoming school year. Last night, the board agreed to look into that Title I budget. Now, Title I is a program aimed at distributing funding to schools and to school districts across the state that have a high percentage of students that come from low-income families. Now, Pine Ridge Elementary is the only school in the district that gets the funding at this point. That money often goes towards extra instructional help, such as additional teachers or instructional assistants. The corporation's Title I budget for last school year was at $67,000. It's down to $57,000 for the upcoming year. Southeast Superintendent Rick Allen says the lost funding will result in the loss of several different programs at Pine Ridge.
Well, we want to continue to have our programs. We have to then cut the assistance or cut the help that we have in those programs. Title's been a big help and part of the great success that we've had here, especially at Pine Ridge Elementary. They do very well with the help, as a National Blue Ribbon school as well as a 4-star school. So, yeah, that's just another punch in the gut, so to speak, to where the locals are going to have to pick that up. And in a time when school budgets are really tight, that's tough to do.
Allen says the corporation got a heads up about the funding cut last April. He says that gave school officials a time to take an early look at necessary changes, including staff reductions for the coming school year. In related business, the board also agreed to advertise the corporation's overall 2015 budget calendar. Fiscal budgets for the upcoming year are usually prepared the summer prior to the start of school. They are then advertised twice during August. Allen says the numbers this year are similar to previous budgets.
We're hoping that our assessed valuation has grown, which reduces the burden on all of our property taxpayers. It helps spread the cost out when the assessed value increases. So we're excited about that. We will know that number from our auditor on August the 1st, so that helps us in preparing our budget as well.
A public hearing for the budget is set for September. The budget will likely be adopted at the board's regular meeting on October 1st. Nominations are now being accepted for the Jasper Chamber of Commerce's annual President's Community Excellence Award. The award is open to people from every walk of life. It's designed to honor folks who give what they can out of what they have to be a positive force in the community. To be considered, nominees have to be an individual, though they can be nominated by either another individual or organization. Chamber Board President Jane Ballsmeyer will be presenting this year's award during the Chamber's annual luncheon coming up in October. The nomination form must be submitted along with a one-page nomination letter and a biography of the person that describes their community service efforts. Folks who were nominated in the past and did not win are encouraged to resubmit their nomination to be considered for this year. The award was first presented in 1991 with Alvin Ruxer receiving the award posthumously. Other award winners include Dave Beeler, Ken Sundelweck, Ken Sternberg, and Maureen Brown, Gervis Schwank, and last year's winner, Becky Beckman. Nomination forms are available at the Jasper Chamber of Commerce's office along West 6th Street. You can also call the Chamber at 482-6866 for more information. The deadline for all nominations is September 12th. Finally this evening, the City of Jasper has found a new way to save energy. Electric Utility Distribution Manager Jerry Sheeter has announced work on street lamps around the downtown area that will reduce energy usage by a whopping 50%. The work will also include maintenance to the lamp posts, such as repainting. The lamps have been weathering since they were installed in the early 1990s. The current 150-watt sodium light bulbs will be replaced with 100-watt LED bulbs. New globes will also be added to each light pole. Sheeter says the bulb change alone will save 40% of energy. He says the number of multiple heads used in the fixtures will also be reduced, saving even more energy. A recent study done by GRA LED Lighting found that the changes to the lighting will be safer too. Sodium bulbs, though perceived as efficient, actually emit a light that causes problems for drivers. The white light doubles a driver's peripheral vision, thus slowing their reaction times by 25%. Now, the lamps around the square are not the only efficiency project being taken on by the city's electric department. City street lamps in German American Plaza have already gotten the new LED bulbs. Work on the square is ongoing, and lamps along the Riverwalk and near the train depot will also be getting the new bulbs in the near future. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform with Actors Community Theater. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.